I get to say things some people don't like. Some might call it bad speech. I have a studio audience, and who knows what nasty stuff some of them may say later. Any of us may say things that hurt your feelings, and yet my bosses let me do that. They even pay me. It's one of the joys of living in a relatively open society, though not every commentator gets to keep his job. Pat Buchanan recently lost his. He used to work for MSNBC, but then his boss said what he wrote in this book, Suicide of a Superpower, was not appropriate, and he was fired. So, what'd you write?
Well, I wrote a chapter that was titled The End of White America, which talked about the decline, ethnic decline of the white
racist.
community. Well, it was the title of, it was a cover story in Atlantic magazine. So why would it simply be racist to discuss the change in the ethnic composition of a nation?
You say decline of white.
Well, I would say those of European descent, original European descent, is what I'm talking about, the ethno-core of a country. John, if you look all over the world, countries are being torn apart on grounds of ethnicity and culture. And this is the most powerful force on earth, in my judgment. It's far more powerful than the desire for democracy, for example.
You've been saying stuff like this for years, and you've been on MSNBC for 10 years.
Right.
What changed? Why'd they fire you now?
Well, I think the reason was the various organizations, which I would call censorship/blacklisting organization, Color of Change, Van Jones's crowd, the homosexual rights community, and these other organizations.
You said homosexuality is unnatural and immoral.
That is the basic fundamental position for 2,000 years of the Catholic faith to which I belong. That's correct. That's one reason. Well, their objective is they can't censor you in the way that a government does, which puts Solzhenitsyn in prison. What these groups do is they attack. For example, if they were after you, they would attack Fox News and try to get to Rupert Murdoch and others. Yeah. And they organize and they get emails in, they get letters in, they get calls, and they start saying, as they do with Rush Limbaugh, take his ads off or we won't buy your products. And you get several 100,000 people doing that to a small network, and they're going to listen.
Your ex-boss, Phil Griffin, said the ideas you put forth aren't really appropriate for national dialogue, much less the dialogue on MSNBC. And I don't agree with you about a lot, but the idea that it's not appropriate for dialogue puzzles me.
In this new ideology of political correctness, there are some ideas and some thoughts which are now being ruled off the table forever because these issues have been decided and we can't bring them up. Now, my old boss, Phil Griffin, he can say what is acceptable on MSNBC.
Yeah, you agree he has every right to say, I don't like these ideas, your history.
He certainly does. They've got a right to hire and fire anybody they want. And so that's why I say we ought to focus more on the organizations, I think, the organizations that brought it about.
Color of Change. They say you peddle white supremacist ideology.
I don't even know what that means.
That whites are a better group. European whites formed America, have better ideas, and they are better if whites are in charge. Well, and listening to you, it sounds like that's kind of what you say.
Well, if you say Europeans had better ideas in terms of the ideas that created this country, they sure as the devil had better ideas in 1776 and 1789, the Constitution of which you're so proud, and rightly so.
Okay. Think Progress, another group that attacks you, and me for that matter, says, I'll list a few of the things. Child abuse at Penn State happened because of homosexual marriage.
Who said that?
They say you said that.
No.
Okay.
That may have been the absence of homosexual marriage.
Okay.
No, you got to get another. I don't want to blame the researcher. No.
No, this is from the groups that are attacking you.
Well, let me say that's excellent example. That is an example of absurdity, stupidity, and absurdity. I mean, I don't even know if Penn State whether it even occurred at that time or not. The assistant coach at Penn State?
Right.
Yeah.
All great nations punish gays.
No, I do think all great civilizations have frowned upon homosexuality as the terms I used, unnatural, immoral, and they've generally considered it outside the realm of a healthy society. I don't think I did not use that exact term, punish gays, I'm sure, but they have all considered it abnormal. That's correct.
Lastly,
yeah, go ahead.
President Obama's Nobel Prize was the result of affirmative action.
Well, it wasn't a result of anything he did. No, I think it was, let's put it this way, it was an anticipatory prize in the hopes that great things would be done. But I think...
but affirmative action says he's black. They gave him a prize.
Well, no, there is in my book Affirmative Action about Barack Obama. He wrote a letter when he was at Harvard Law School. There was a Chinese student who complained about affirmative action and people being brought onto Harvard Law Review. And he virtually admitted in this letter that he had benefited from affirmative action. And certainly Sonia Sotomayor did. Now, my view is this. I am a great believer in equality of opportunity, but I don't believe in equality of result. I believe that the people who should win the race are the ones who run it and win it. And the idea of we're going to have an egalitarian society where everyone is the same at the end of the line, and people who don't work hard or don't have the ability, they get the same rewards as those who do. I'm against that. I believe in freedom.
Hank Williams was fired from Monday Night Football. Do you know about that?
I do know about that.
He's the one who says, "Are you ready for some football?" I always loved that. That's gone now because he said that John Boehner's golf game with Barack Obama was a mistake. It would be like Hitler playing golf with Netanyahu.
I don't think you do a thing to Hank Williams Jr. for that. Really, I mean, it's okay. It's a metaphor that doesn't work very well, and you say, ooh, you know, but you don't throw the man off the air. I mean, Hank Williams Jr., he's a national treasure.
Well, he's not on Monday Night Football anymore. What about your successor at MSNBC, Reverend Al Sharpton? He's working there.
Actually, he didn't succeed me.
Well, he's there. You're not.
I've argued with Al. I've been on his show, and that's a decision of MSNBC to hire Al.
He said white folks was in the caves while we were building empires. We taught philosophy and astrology and mathematics before Socrates and them Greek homos ever got around to it.
Al said that?
He did. It was at Keene College.
I would disagree with that statement. I don't, look, I'm
Are
not
you
gonna,
bitter that he's there and you're not?
No, I'm not going to respond to that statement because I can't believe that Al Sharpton made that statement. Did he make it previously? Or did
yes, it's just years back.
Years back? Was he in high school or what?
No, it was about 10, 12 years ago.
It's a very foolish, and frankly, it is so foolish it's a funny statement.
Are you bitter that he's there and you're not?
No, I'm not bitter. Look, I've got a lot of friends at MSNBC, and I regret it's over. But that happened. That's life, John.
That's life.
This is our business.
One last thought about this. You and I, as white men, are members of the American overclass. So
I didn't grow up thinking I was a member of the American overclass.
All right, I'm calling us a member of the overclass. So does that mean that we need to be more careful and minorities have more license to criticize? People outside the studio said that.
If I'm black and I'm saying something against a black person, normally it's okay. But if a white person says something against me, then there may be a problem.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm afraid there's some reality in what's being said there. There are a lot of in the African American community that write books and use the N-word against each other, and that's their prerogative. And I do think we ought not to use those kinds of terms.
We white men, though, have had power for years, and it seems like we should just have to take it. I don't know where you grew up. Look, I grew up in a Catholic ghetto in Washington, D.C., where we were outnumbered 10-to-1 by Protestants. We had our own parochial schools. They were wonderful schools. It was a wonderful place to grow up. We were not the power elite. I grew up in the Goldwater campaign. Whites have more power, have more money, whether they are Catholic or not.
Did they steal it, John?
No. I'm not saying we got it through any deceptive means.
What do you want to do? You want to equalize it by taking away from one group and give it to another?
I say minorities have extra license to attack us.
They have extra license? Well, look.
To criticize us, to attack us, to use rougher language.
Why?
Because we have the power.
Well, I don't. In a free society, what you and I have accomplished, or what we have in terms of access in the media, in terms of wealth, in terms of our homes, I gather we got it all honestly through hard work and effort and maybe some luck also, all right? And other people did as well. I mean, Oprah and others in the African-American community, they succeed enormously in television and in entertainment and in athletics and in music and all these areas, and no one should deny them what they have. But I don't think envy or racial hostility on the part of any race toward another is something we ought to condone or frankly sit still for.